Hey fam, I want you to like, share, and subscribe to our YouTube channel, youtube.com/Roland S. Martin. And don't forget to turn on your notifications. From the constant attacks on Congresswoman Ilhan Omar of Minneapolis by Donald Trump and Republicans as well. Last night, Trump was in Minnesota for a rally. He told a local television reporter who asked him about the 9/11 tweet that he sent out about Congresswoman Omar. And here's what Trump had to say. No shock here.
Congresswoman Omar sent out a release last night saying that your tweet from a couple of days ago has led to direct threats on her life. Any second thoughts about that tweet and the way it was produced and put together?
No, not at all. Look, she's been very disrespectful to this country. She's been very disrespectful, frankly, to Israel. She is somebody that doesn't really understand, I think, life, real life, what it's all about. It's unfortunate. She's got a way about her that's very, very bad, I think, for our country. I think she's extremely unpatriotic and extremely disrespectful to our country.
She's got a way about her? Really? A way about her. Fox News last night, Bernard Kerik, the man, of course, who lied to authorities, who went to federal prison as a result of that. The same man who also used an apartment for his sexual affairs that was supposed to be used by folks who were, of course, at the site of 9/11. He attacked her on Sean Hannity last night on Fox News.
But I lost 23 people that work for me. We lost 400 first responders and close to 1,700 people that were in the building.
Unbelievable. And so you hear her anti-Semitic comments. Then the comment, really struck by what she said about, oh, the way they say Al-Qaeda.
No. Well, here's the issue, Sean. She's infatuated with Al-Qaeda, with Hamas, Hezbollah. She was at CARE at a fundraiser. She was the keynote speaker at a fundraiser for CARE, which, according to the United Arab Emirates, an Arab nation, they are a terrorist organization.
Okay, I'm sorry. Please show me the evidence, Bernard Kerik, where she's infatuated with Hamas, infatuated with Al-Qaeda. Folks, what you have here, or you have white folks like Bernard Kerik, like Donald Trump, who do not like the fact that you have the first one of two Muslim women elected to Congress. They are the fourth Muslims to be elected. Of course, you had Keith Ellison, Andre Carson. Now you have, of course, Tlaib from Detroit, and then you have Omar. To question, for Trump to say she doesn't understand a woman who was a refugee, a woman who escaped war in her home country to come here. No, I think she understands life, a hell of a lot more about life than Donald Trump. What you have here, Julian, you have the consistent attacks because they do not like the fact that you have that the people of Minnesota elected a Muslim woman to Congress. That's what you have going on here.
Well, more than that, you have a hijab-wearing Muslim woman to Congress. And part of the issue with them is her hijab, the fact that she does cleave to her religious beliefs. Also, the fact that she's extremely articulate, the fact that she is very focused. She does not defer to Israel, to the popular notion that to be anti-Israel is also to be anti-Semitic, because we know that that's wrong. And CARE is not a terrorist organization. They have attempted to demonize this woman, and in doing so, they've signaled the radical right, the white domestic terrorists, that it's okay to attack this woman. So this woman has gotten hundreds of death threats, so many that Nancy Pelosi, who has hardly been a fan of hers, has increased security for her and for her family. I would say that Donald Trump needs to be ashamed, but he doesn't know shame. I mean, he really does not know shame. And that man you had on, the Fox guy, who, as you say, ripped off 9/11 survivors, ripped off survivors with his own sexual peccadillos, he has no right to say anything to anybody. You have to question the integrity of Fox News to have somebody like that on there.
Let me just, again, for the people who are at home watching, you have Bernard Kerik, who goes on Sean Hannity's show and talks about, oh, how I lost men, and how I lost people in the World Trade Center. But what Bernard Kerik did not, here's what I'm reading. This is a December 15th, 2004 story from the New York Times, Chris. An apartment in Battery Park City that former police commissioner Bernard Kerik secured for his personal use after September 11th was originally donated for the use of weary police and rescue workers who were helping at Ground Zero. He wants to question her, and he used an apartment for his sexual affairs that was supposed to be for weary police and fire officers, and you somehow want to show that you are above her and everyone else when it comes to 9/11? The hell with Bernie Kerik, Chris.
Well, you're not going to get me to offer defense of Bernie Kerik at any time. I've always been extremely critical of Bernie Kerik. When he was nominated for the Director of Homeland Security job and had to withdraw during the Trump administration. So as it relates to Bernie Kerik, I put no stock whatsoever in what Bernie has to say. I think, though, the issue relative to Omar, look, I'm not a fan of Omar either. I don't believe that from the standpoint of all of the rhetoric she has put forth relative to Israel and all of those kinds of things, I just don't think that it's either appropriate or smart politically. But I don't, by the same token, let me not be heard as saying that I believe because she has come forth that she is worthy of death threats. I'm not saying that at all. I am just saying that with these two people, I am not a fan of either one of them because they are not, in my view, doing anything to advance the agenda. And as someone who used to be a special assistant attorney general in the state of Minnesota, I understand Minnesota politics very well. And she was elected by a constituency to whom she is beholden. And that's just the reality of this situation.
Kelly, again, what you have here, you have people who do not like the fact that Representative Omar dares to question or challenge Israel. In the moment, I'm going to play for you a comment that Bernie Sanders said last night, where he said it's not anti-Semitic to actually challenge Israel. Your thoughts?
It's not. I don't understand why we have such a powerful tie to Israel when it comes to things like this. We can be critical of almost every other country that we are allies to except this one. And it's bothersome because it restricts, important opinions that can actually further diplomacy. But back to Trump's comments about how she's been disrespectful to this country, you could write a Bible's worth of what Trump has done and said that has been disrespectful to this country, from calling, Hispanics, Mexicans, Latinos, and the like rapists and murderers on his campaign trail, to actually banning countries from coming into the United States or going out of the United States, to just the blatant disrespect towards women, the blatant disrespect towards minorities. The list goes on. So the hypocrisy is not lost on anybody, but I definitely just wanted to note that.
Well, again, what you have here, you have, Julian, a plan by Donald Trump to focus on fear, to raise the hackles of white voters. She's so weird. She's different. I don't know where she comes from. Questioning literally her even presence in America. That essentially is what Donald Trump is doing.
Well, he called for her resignation some time ago. He's attempted to demonize her, to make her seem different, just as Kelly just said about Mexican, quote, rapists. I mean, he has attempts to marginalize and demonize this woman, as you said, using the politics of fear. If you look at what she stands for, she is not a radical extremist. In terms of most of her domestic public policy, she's quite in line with many other liberals, not even super progressives, but just liberals. In addition, as Bernie Sanders said, and as Kelly said, why can we not question Israel? The fact is that Israel exists because of extreme U.S. State Department foreign aid. We are propping up the killing, the disaffectation of the Palestinian population, people thrown off their homes, and then Netanyahu comes in and says he's going to settle, for the West Bank, eliminating the possibility of a two-state solution. This makes no sense in the United States, who will criticize any other country for any other reason, needs to look at Israel very critically. Human rights are Palestinian rights, too.
And Chris, on that point, I mean, the reality is President George H.W. Bush held up billions to Israel because of them building on settlements. This notion that somehow you can't even question Israel or you can't question their lobbyists is nonsensical. She's a member of Congress who is there to represent her constituents. So we somehow can't question another country because they are an American ally?
Well, listen, as a member of Congress, she can question whomever it is that she wants to question. I think for a number of Republicans, the issue is they, in fact, believe that her comments are all about the Benjamin comments, all of a number of other comments are simply disrespectful and out of line.
But Chris, was it disrespectful when Donald Trump stood before the Republican Jewish Federation and literally said that Netanyahu is your prime minister? They were Americans. When Donald Trump literally talked about not needing Jewish money and saying because you want to control politics, I mean, I'm just trying to understand how that's acceptable, but somehow, oh my goodness, her daring to challenge Israel is somehow bad.
Well, I'm not saying that it's acceptable. I'm simply giving you what the arguments on the right are relative to this, because fundamentally, look, there is an element, and there are certain people on the right with whom I've spoken who have said, we don't need 9/11. We have government infiltration by people who are being elected to government. And so from my standpoint, the issue is these arguments are the arguments that are moving forward. And so what I have said to a number of my colleagues is, listen, if those are the arguments you're going to have and those are the positions that you're going to take moving forward, you need to, in fact, examine those arguments. And so I'm simply presenting an opposing point of view to what's being said here.
Bottom line, Kelly, what we are seeing here, we are seeing a precursor to Donald Trump's strategy in 2020. It is about fear. It is to demonize those who are Muslim, demonize those who are undocumented workers, demonize anyone because he is trying to ramp up his white voters.
And we've seen this strategy before, right? In the course of our history, we have McCarthyism. We have, during World War II, regarding the Japanese internment, the propaganda therein with that. During Reconstruction, once the enslaved were emancipated, the propaganda regarding that as they integrate into or try to integrate into society. And the sad thing is that it does work for those who are ignorant of what's actually going on. So I encourage, people who are voting, American citizens as a whole, to really just pay attention, to really just understand just how much of a liar Donald Trump is and how old his playbook is, and the ramifications of playing off of that playbook are great. Yeah. And we have evidence of how great those consequences can be. So come 2020, we are, we're a year out. We have time to rectify these wrongs by voting otherwise. So I just encourage our voters, our people to just, do our due diligence and act accordingly.
Here's, of course, Senator Bernie Sanders last night at the town hall on Fox News addressing this very issue.
I will do everything in my power, and I hope that every member of Congress will fight not only anti-Semitism, but racism and anti-Muslim activity so that we create a non-discriminatory society. But it is not anti-Semitic to be critical of a right-wing government in Israel. That is not anti-Semitic, okay? So
again, that was Senator Bernie Sanders last night on Fox. Roland Martin Unfiltered, be sure to join our Bring the Funk fan club. Every dollar that you give to us supports our daily digital show. There's only one daily digital show out here that keeps it black and keep it real as Roland Martin Unfiltered. Support the Roland Martin Unfiltered daily digital show by going to RolandMartinUnfiltered.com. Our goal is to get 20,000 of our fans contributing $50 each for the whole year. You can make this possible. RolandMartinUnfiltered.com.